to Sonnie in sunny Phoenix. Pretty good, huh?
Thank you so much.
I did came up with that off the top of my head.
Boom.
Boom. Never been said before.
Thank you so much, Rachel, just for sharing your story. It resonates deeply. And every time I hear that song, it's like, I have a visceral reaction to it because I spent probably the first 35 years of my life in a very different space than I am today. And so it all resonates very, very deeply with me. What I'm curious of for you is, how do you lean into continuing to evolve yourself and kind of opening up this new unmuted version of you and growing forward?
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate that. There's this assessment that I took a few years ago that gave me some insight into myself. I'm an assessment junkie, not to define us, but as just to be curious about ourselves. It's called the VIA character assessment. VIA stands for values in action. I'm a big fan of it. And Scott, I could send you a link if you want to send out, or Kathy, I could send you a link if you want to send out to people afterwards to take it. And it revealed to me two things when I took it. Three things in particular about some of my top character strengths. And three of them are curiosity, creativity, and spirituality. Spirituality really looking at, I'm a meaning maker. I'm like, if something happens, I want to, make sense of it and tell a story about it and use it for something good. So part of it is that I'm a perpetually curious person. I'm just like always mining every situation. My husband knows. We'll be watching a movie and I'll be like, pause it. Somebody will say something. I need to write that down. Like, that's going to go on a blog post. That's fodder for something. So I'm just like in this kind of like hyper alert mode of expecting to be inspired. So because of that, I'm really open if I'm walking around, if I'm listening to a podcast, if I'm listening to a sermon, if I'm in a conversation with somebody, if I'm reading something in a book. I just am in this spot of like kind of being open and receptive to what might want to come into my space. I also take intentional steps. I find that working with, like for me, hiring coaches, so like hiring a voice coach, it's like, I know I want to do something more with music. I don't know what, but I know that this will help me get there faster. I wanted to do a TEDx. That's been a dream of mine for 20 years, right? So I hired a coach to pitch me, and I'm doing a TEDx on my birthday on July 8th in Rockville, Maryland. If anyone's around the Rockville, Maryland area, come hang out and come do the talk and then come to my birthday party. So like part of it is taking intentional steps of like, who can help me shortcut this? You know what I mean? Like, so investing in, so in that case, like investing in people that I think can help me shortcut the things that I want to do, like investing in Leroy, right? Who does the singer-songwriting. I pay him every month and we come together and we write music and he produces it. And so part of it is just that curiosity that drives everything. The other thing is, if I'm honest with you, I feel like I probably don't dream big enough for what's possible. Like, I think I probably limit myself from what could be, even in how I think now. Like, I have this big picture vision of like, I want to be singing and performing in stadiums, like speaking and singing in stadiums with 20,000 people. And there's like the part of me that's like, yeah, you'll get there. And then there's like a bigger part of me that's like, but how? And for me, it's like, just keep doing the thing that you're doing. Just keep putting yourself out there. Even with speaking, like I didn't even intentionally get into it. I just started getting asked to do it. And I was like, well, maybe I should do this. And then 5 years ago, I invested in a professional speaking training and I went through that and it like wiped out my bank account, but it was the catalyst that got me to leave my corporate job. And it was that environment that first had me integrate singing with speaking. I never thought to do that before. So putting ourselves in new environments with new people that don't necessarily know us. And that was really powerful because I was telling a story about how I found my voice in gospel choir, sang the thing. And they were like, oh, you like tell that story every time you speak, right? And I said, I never tell that story on stage. I don't sing on stage. You nuts? And now it's like part of what I just embedded in what I do, So it's like being open to evolution, staying curious. And last thing I'll mention 2 books. One, The Fire Starter Sessions by Danielle Laporte was really helpful for me like 10 years ago at starting to like really think through stuff I might want to do. And then somebody who I think was a guest in this community, Jessica Zweig, right?
Nope, not yet.
She's not yet. She wrote a book called B. Firestarter Sessions was the ish for me though, man. That book started to open me up about like, what do you think is possible and imagining and that kind of stuff. So if you want to ignite yourself, Firestarter Sessions is like my go-to.